All right, thank you, Danielle. Well, solutions that came out of the special legislative session to help solve that massive state budget shortfall now go to the governor's desk. But there's still lots of work to be done. Denver 7's Brandon Richard following the funding for you tonight.
Well, the special session is over. Now the really tough work begins, making spending cuts. But lawmakers are leaving that up to the governor and his team. Now, his office hasn't provided any specifics, but earlier this month, the governor did clue us in on what they could do. Colorado legislative leaders have a three-part plan to deal with the state's $783 million budget gap. They took care of part of that plan during their 6-day special session when they got rid of corporate tax breaks.
And I'm grateful my colleagues didn't shy away from this challenge. We faced it head on, we rolled up our sleeves, we acted like the adults in the room.
But they're leaving the other parts of the plan to Governor Polis. Democratic leaders say the governor will have to take $200 to $300 million from state reserves and cut up to $300 million from the budget. But where will those cuts come from? House Speaker Julie McCluskey says lawmakers aren't sure.
I think in my conversations so far with the Gov's team, they are turning over every rock.
Good afternoon, everybody.
On the other side of the aisle, the rumor mill is churning.
Rumor is the Governor Polis is going to cut access to health care to 1.2 million people in our state by cutting the Medicaid provider rates. That is just wrong.
We asked the governor's office for specifics about what he plans to cut. He said in part, quote, "We're looking at all options for potential cuts." But the governor may have provided a clue earlier this month when I asked him about possible cuts to fix the budget gap and how those cuts would impact Coloradans.
We would begin with some of the cuts that we proposed in years past that the legislature did not accept. And those are real cuts and they affect people. They're things like, for instance, capping dental benefits for Medicaid, as an example.
Polis also says there is one thing he would not support cutting.
I also want to be clear that I would oppose any efforts to cut education funding.
The governor's office will present his plan to the Joint Budget Committee on Thursday. At the Capitol, Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
And even if lawmakers and the governor resolve this current budget crisis, the state's budget director says Colorado will face more budget challenges in the years ahead because of the provisions in the National Republican Tax and Spending Bill that will reduce state revenue.